War teaches men to divide the world into two colors: enemy and ally, us and them. But in the frozen forests of Europe, during the final blood-soaked months of World War II, something happened that history almost forgot. Something that didn't fit the rules of war. Something that challenged the idea of who deserved mercy and who didn't. Because in one brutal moment, American medics, trained to save their own, made a choice that would haunt them forever. They saved the enemy. By December 1944, Europe was a graveyard. The Battle of the Bulge had turned the forests of Belgium and Germany into frozen killing fields. Snow fell thick and heavy, burying bodies before they could even be counted. The cold was so brutal that weapons froze, fingers blackened, and men slept beside the dead just to steal warmth. For American soldiers, survival depended on speed, instinct, and discipline. And for medics, the rules were simple. Save your own. Ignore the rest. They carried no rifles, only red crosses stitched onto their helmets, only morphine, bandages, and hope. And that hope was about to be tested. It began with a sound no soldier expected to hear behind enemy lines. A voice. Not a command, not a scream, a whisper. Please. Help! At first, the American patrol thought it was a trick. German soldiers were known to fake injuries to draw troops into ambushes. But then they saw him. A young German soldier, barely older than 18, lying in the snow. His uniform soaked dark with blood. His rifle abandoned meters away. He wasn't reaching for a weapon. He was reaching for life. Private Thomas Doc Gallagher froze. Every rule said to leave the enemy behind. Every instinct told him to walk away. But the man on the ground wasn't a Nazi symbol anymore. He wasn't a uniform. He was a bleeding human being crying out in pain. And in that moment, the war disappeared. Doc knelt beside him. The German soldier's eyes widened, not with fear, but disbelief. "You help me?" he whispered. Doc didn't answer. He simply cut open the coat and went to work. The wound was bad. Shrapnel had torn through the abdomen. Without treatment, the man would be dead within minutes. Doc knew the rules. If command found out, he could be court-martialed. Helping the enemy was treason. But leaving him to die felt worse. So he made a decision that would haunt him forever. He called for a stretcher, and when the rest of the patrol stared in disbelief, he said only one thing. "He's a patient, not a German." They carried him back through the trees. The American field hospital was chaos. Wounded men screamed, blood soaked the floors. Surgeons worked without sleep. When the stretcher arrived, silence fell. A German uniform inside an American tent. Some soldiers shouted, others froze. The head surgeon looked at the wound, then at the medic. "Is he breathing?" "Yes." "Then put him on the table." No more words were needed. For hours, American doctors fought to save a man who, days earlier, might have killed them. They worked under lantern light. They used their last supplies. They ignored the anger around them. And against all odds, the German soldier lived. When he woke up, he cried. Not from pain, but because he realized he was alive. And alive because of his enemy. News of the incident spread quietly through the unit. Some soldiers called it betrayal. Others called it humanity. But one thing was clear. The war didn't stop for compassion. The German soldier was later transferred to a POW camp. He survived the war. Years later, he would write a letter. A letter addressed to an American medic he never forgot. "You saw me not as an enemy, but as a man. Because of you, I lived long enough to have a family, to see peace, and to believe that even in war, goodness survives." History remembers battles. It remembers generals. It remembers victories and defeats. But it often forgets the quiet moments. When humanity refused to die. In the middle of a war built on hate, one man chose compassion over orders. And in doing so, he proved something powerful. Even in the darkest moments of history, humanity still breathes. The most powerful stories aren't about who won the war, but who chose mercy when no one was watching.